Are you training for the next big race and unsure what to do with your nutrition? Well, take advantage of Precision Fuel and Hydration's free online planner. It'll help you figure out exactly how much carbs, sodium, and fluid you need to smash your goals. I swear by their 90-gram resealable gel on all my long runs and recently used it at the Ballarat Marathon. Click the link in the show notes, use the planner, and get 15% off your first order with the code INSIDERUN15. Support the Inside Running podcast and boost your performance. Now let's dive into this week's episode.
Child, that your skin can bring you so much pain. Now I hear you say you got the best of both ways. Won't you come and take a walk in my shoes and tell me if you do.
Welcome to episode number 364 of the Inside Running podcast. Thank you for being with us for another week. I'd love to say big show coming at you this week, but looking at this agenda, it's quite empty, but we'll give you a good hour. We'll get a good hour out of this one. Hopefully, if you're running, we'll keep you company for, at least 60 minutes. Welcome to my co-host. He's down in Anglesey, the only Australian male we sent to the 2019 World Championships in Doha, the 4.5-time winner of the Great Ocean Road Marathon, the coach of Olympian Ali Pashley and the course record holder for the Bogle and the Hotham, the man who was voted in at number 4 for the most influential people in men's running in 2023 by Runners World, and most recently, the man who is one of Australia's best distance runners, who left spectators stunned with an incredible act right at the end of a marathon when he sacrificed his own race. Julian Spence, welcome to episode number 364.
It's good to have you back.
Wanted to give you a pump up to start up.
You really didn't need to spend all that time writing it down. Shows that you haven't had a lot on today, but thank you. You might notice in the background, see that big map up there? What do you reckon that is?
What's that? Is that the course profile for Bogle and Hotham?
That is the Australian High Plains, the Alpine country, where only the tough survive and the very best take course records out there.
Have you still got it?
What?
The course record. Like, do they still run that event?
No, it's hit and miss. It suffered a really long, a tough patch when it got cancelled midway through the race one year with storms. Then it was bushfires another year. Then it was like extreme heat, I reckon, one year. Then I reckon it got canned during COVID. So I think it's coming back this year. I'll have to check that.
Okay.
A bit sad, really. Probably the best race in the country. Hardest one to win. Hardest one to take a course record on anyway.
Maybe you don't want it to come back. Just be the course record holder forever. Yeah.
The problem is it gets forgotten about.
That's why we had to bring it up tonight. Haven't spoken about it for a while. Can I tell you about my other co-host though? He's the winner of the Christchurch and the Wollongong Half Marathon. I was looking at some of his stats today, Moose. One of the most even PB list of anyone in Australia. A 3:48 1500 through to a 2:17 marathon and everything else in between. The man who won the 40 to 44 years age group at last weekend's Melbourne Marathon. He beat Pat Tiernan in the 2011 Noosa Bolt, the king of Canberra running, the mayor of Mulligans. Brad Croker, welcome back to you this week.
Thanks, Brady. It's good to have the boss back. How are you?
It's good to be back. Very, very happy, fellas. So there was the pump up, and I'm happy to be back. But what the hell happened in the last 9 weeks? I left you and I come back and you're a 227 and a 232, guys.
And you're a 220 man again.
I've always been a 220 man. Nothing's changed there.
Like
what the hell happened to you guys? Yeah.
Deja vu happened.
220 specialist right here.
Well, I personally think I ran pretty close to where my fitness was. I think there's other people out there like you and Christian who were, I don't know what you're smoking, but...
Christian from Norway.
Thinking that I was in sub 220 shape based on what I was doing, there was no way.
Yeah, we built up the hype for you, didn't we?
Yeah, that is it happens to a lot of people on a lot of different podcasts. Bit of attention gets shown. bit of pump up, all of a sudden expectation increase, consequence increase. It's a real thing.
It's a real thing. The curse of podcasting is a real thing.
Yeah.
I knew I reckon I was, based on my training in the lead up to Gold Coast, where I ran 2:23, like my sessions weren't as good as those sessions. So like 2:25, 2:26 was probably the best I could have got. But then going out maybe a minute too fast through the first half cost me like maybe a minute in the end.
No. I don't agree. I think you're in much better shape than you give yourself credit for.
Don't know. Well, I guess I was just comparing sessions to Gold Coast when I ran 2:23.
But you did that pacing.
Yeah, true.
That's different.
Yeah. There's also there's also a mental side of these now where, and I feel like you're probably in the same boat a little bit, Moose, where like for me to run my best now, like the event that I'm in has to mean something to me. Like it's like I need to be either competitive in the race where I get a little bit of mongrel, like, okay, I'm going to try and win this thing, or, some sort of time barrier that actually means something. Like when I turned 40, I wanted to break 15 minutes. So like, I was really motivated to try and do that. Whereas to go to Melbourne and even break 2:25, it's like, well, I don't know. It doesn't like get me up and about really.
That was, as a listener last week, Croaks, that was one of my big takeaways about your recap. It was just like, you didn't care. Like once it didn't become 2:23, it was like, well, it can be whatever now. Like having that care factor was, I think, just listening to it from the outside looking in was something you lacked.
Yeah. And willing to just really hurt yourself when it doesn't mean that much to you. Like that's when you can dig deep, is when whatever you're racing or whatever you're doing means a lot to you. You can actually go that next level.
Hey, good work the last 9 weeks. I sent you through the download numbers today of all the guests. They were pretty solid. People loved them. Some great feedback. Very, very mixed.
Is that total downloads that you sent through?
Nah, that's not total, but that's like the chunk of them. So that was the Apple podcast kind of thing where the majority of listeners are, but then you got to cut, like obviously Spotify, Podbean, Patreon comes in another direction as well. So, Jess Hull, no surprise. That was the most popular one of the last 9 weeks, and Toby Mende, the least popular. Shouldn't be shaming Toby, but we'll keep him behind the paywall for the monthly when he can be a bit more unscripted, I guess. It's a bit harder on the main show.
We're very lucky, very, very lucky to have the caliber of guests that we had during that 9 weeks. And I said, I think at the end of last week's show, like a big thanks to those people giving up, a couple of hours every Monday or Tuesday night to come on. So how did you feel, Brady? Sort of like, were there some of those athletes that you would have loved to have sort of been interviewing, like Jess?
No, not really. I enjoyed it more as a listener. And obviously I think I said it on one of the Road to Chicago shows, like knowing you two boys very well, it's like you trust in what you're going to ask them anyway. So sometimes I do get frustrated listening to running podcasts because I'm like, oh, why did you ask that question and not that question? And I didn't think that once over the last 9 weeks at all. So, and I think having the opportunity to actually, you're going out for a run and the episode goes for 2 hours and you got an hour 45 in the bush and you're just like, this is like, I don't have to worry about running. I've just got to listen to these guys talk to Jess Hull for an hour and 45 minutes. I couldn't get over how, I knew she was professional, but just how professional and like even the communication between her and her dad, like it sounds like she's very much in charge of, setting some standards and training sessions and things like that. So that maturity there and the professionalism, really just stood out to me. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Like we've been doing this for a long time, so it's good to just, sit back and listen to content for 9 weeks and not have to worry about, because it's different for you boys as well. Like you got to interview her, but at the same time, I'd know your minds would have been like thinking about what's the next question and what's the next segment coming up and having Strava tabs open and all that kind of stuff that you probably can't 100% sit back and thoroughly enjoy it. So unique experience for me on that end of the listeners.
And how have you pulled up, Brady? How's the body feeling?
Feeling good. I'm happy to be home. It's a long way. You've been to the States a few times, haven't you? You won that Prefontaine Classic race at his hometown. I forgot about that. Should have put that in the intro.
Classic. That's him.
What was it? Prefontaine's hometown?
Yeah, the Prefontaine Memorial.
That's
10K.
it. Just say the pre-classic. Pre-classic 10K.
JP Morgan corporate race in Chicago.
Oh, you've been twice. Where'd they have that in Chicago? Like on the streets or in a park or something?
No, like main road. Yeah, so
okay.
it started
Michigan
down at down at that main park. Is it Grant Park?
Grant Park, yep. That's where the marathon started as well. Yep.
Yeah. Anyway, so how was the trip back? And I don't know, like how are those days after the race? Like, were you down? Were you okay about it? Like,
yeah, it's just you just miss your family more than anything when you're on the other side of the world, and it's such a big trip back. Like, that's probably the one thing. You kind of get homesick, I guess, but I was pretty content. I know it's funny that I've just landed another 220 on the board, gone all the way to Chicago for another 220. But the way the race kind of unfolded and how I felt during the race, I thought that 220 was a pretty, like, just honest performance of what my body was, I think, capable of on that day. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. Like, I loved Chicago. I loved the city. I loved the organisation of the race. Like, everything was just super smooth with, everything from collecting your bib to getting to the start line to the atmosphere, boys. You've both been to Berlin. It's just, when you're comparing it to races like Melbourne and Sydney and Gold Coast, it's a different world. Like, I'm very privileged to have the opportunity to go to these races and experience them. So if anyone gets a chance to go and do some of these big marathons, take it for sure, because it was just such a buzz. So I was pretty content in those 24 hours, 48 hours after Croaks, and then got on the plane Tuesday to make the long trip home. I landed here Thursday morning, and I felt pretty good. Like, I've slept better. Pretty much. First night I was back, I've just kind of like slept through and had no kind of like jet lag or anything like that. So it's good to be home though. You miss the place, just those local trails and just routines and
routine. That's what you miss, isn't
coffee, like just your same cereal you eat every single other day of the week, just little shit like that. You're just like, very happy to be home and stuff. But cannot speak higher of Chicago in that race. It's amazing.
So Brady, takeaways. Like, you've had a week now, you've sat on it, you look back at your training, your race execution. What are your takeaways for the next one?
So in regards to, like, I do think it's a trap for Australians travelling overseas to try and get peak performance if you're going to travel in that race week. Like, I remember you asked me on that, I reckon it was the Tuesday, I sent a photo of my watch of how much I slept on the plane. And, like, I remember you just replied, like, this can't be the best preparation for, like, a race. And I just was really naive that I was like, okay, right off Tuesday night, maybe Wednesday night, I'll probably sleep fine. Thursday, Friday, maybe not so much Saturday, because you never sleep well the night before the marathon. But I just didn't, like, factor in that I was just going to sleep shit house for, like, every night leading in. Like, I think I would have probably averaged 5 hours. I was using sleeping tablets way, like, too much than what I would like, but it was like at that stage where you're laying wide awake at 1 a.m. and thinking, if I don't take a sleeping tablet, I'm going to get maybe 3 or 4 hours sleep. Like, and then, I just felt like I don't even want to use it as an excuse, because I still felt like I could execute the race properly, but I just think I was at 95% instead of 100%, and maybe that 5% just leaves you a bit vulnerable when, 320s felt like they were 315s, and I just faded. I went from 320s to then 325s for 5K to probably 328s for 5K, and that was probably the difference between, maybe running 218, 219 and 220. So
we've discussed this on the podcast before, in that when we set goals, we're setting the absolute highest goal we can if every duck is lined up perfectly in a row and none of them are like quacking or flying away or moving, then that's your goal. But as soon as you add these little things in, then all of a sudden the ducks start moving and the goalposts get harder to slot them through. And we don't really, like, you're how many marathons deep now?
That was number 11. So, like, I've done this before, and I've prepped, like, I think you said on last week's show, like, I've put in the work. Like, I totally agreed with both your comments last week, actually. I was worried you were going to rip me to shreds, put it on the plane, I'm like, oh shit, this could be a terrible listen. But then I remembered you two guys had shit ones, so I'm like, please be nice to me. But I think we get to like, and me in particular, I put my times into those calculators and I go, I should be able to run 2:17, 2:18, and it's just like, maybe you just genetically haven't got that tank or that build. And I even wonder like my cadence as well. Like I take a fuckload of steps and I'm like, do I just put way too many steps and by the time I get to 35 I'm getting tired. But it was a content 2:20, and my takeaway was that travel takes, I think the flight was easier. Like it was 17 hours to Dallas. Like I felt like I got off the plane better than when I have to Europe. But I've felt like when I've raced in Europe, I have slept better, like maybe 2 nights after the trip. So, and there's a bit of science out there as well. Carly kind of looked, who wrote that book? It's called Why We Sleep. And there's a few pages in there about the science about going east compared to going west, how it is a bit harder to adapt kind of thing. So, but in saying that, like we're not pro athletes, and we're talking small margins. I'm talking 2 seconds a K is the difference between me running 2:18 and not one person questions my training or, thinks about anything or 1 second a K I'm running a PB and it's probably like, oh yeah, that's a solid run considering you haven't had much sleep. So happy to be still in the arena like you boys were last Sunday, still out there battling. And
3 marathons down, that's rare. That's rare to get 3 in. 3 in.
We all got one. We all got to the finish line, which was
so
good.
Brady, you didn't take offence when Moose said, well, maybe Brady is just a 2:19 marathoner.
No, because I think, like, my biggest problem is I get compared to you two blokes every single week. And, like, I know a lot of guys, like Moose, you can remember guys like, Ben Toomey, Nath Hardigan, Toby Rayner. I'm trying to think of like guys that I started off running with. And even you look at some of the guys just over the last couple of years that I get compared to like 2:20 or 2:19 is a failure because I'm talking to a 2:14 and 2:17 guy. But I know a lot of guys who are, 29:20, 29:30 guys for 10, 65, 64 for half that never broke 2:20. So I'm
hundreds of them. Hundreds of them that have never nailed it.
So I've become more content with being a 2:19, a 2:20 guy, and now I'm more proud of that consistency. I'm just like, hey, I'll just be that specialist, but I'll keep bloody trying. Like it's the only thing that still motivates me in running. So I'm like, I'm happy with that comparison.
I think you should still be looking at the 10K rankings for the year, like say, because you run all the distances. So look at your 10K ranking and look at the 20 guys below you, the 20 guys above you, and I know you're going to have the best marathon PB out of that, and you're going to have the best marathon for the year out of that as well. That list, right?
Yeah, that ranking list. I had a look at it after after you guys spoke about it last week, and it's I pretty much just fall between 7th or 8th. I think I have been at the highest to like 15th every year, just in that window with what I'm putting out.
That's huge. You're talking about the nation. You're talking about male distance race runners in the nation. You've been consistently in the top 15 for the year and even the top 10 some years. Like that, just go back, rewind this to when you start running and you go, well, you're going to be for 5 years in a row in the top 15 in the country. Yeah,
I guess so. It's and that's been a bit of that flip now, just being like, be kind of proud of it and that, consistency. And it's also cool. Like I'm sitting back going, I've ran 2:20 in Valencia, I've done it in Chicago, I've done it in Gold Coast, I've done it in Melbourne. Like Toby kind of sent me through a thing saying you should go for the World Marathon Majors with the most 2:20s. I just try and run 2:20 at every single World Marathon Major.
You probably have it already.
Yeah, I've only done 2 of the World Marathon Majors, but it's nothing to be. I think in the past I've been disappointed, and I guess with this one that I made adjustments during the race to kind of save it to still be a 2:20 and not be a shocker, if that makes sense. Like I could have thrown in the towel, like a couple of guys we were running with this pack up to like 32k and it just blew to pieces at 32k, and a couple of those guys were 2:23, 2:24s at the end who just had really tough last 10k's. But yeah, boys, get yourself to Chicago next year. You got to qualify now, Croaks. What was the 40 plus time? You were going to do it last year.
Yeah, so it was sub 230.
Yeah. Okay, so you've still got that.
Yeah, but I don't know.
This
like
might be a bit harder for you.
After, but based on what you're saying, like, and this was another question for you, was like when we had you on before you went to Chicago, I said, oh, has it sort of crossed your mind that, you ran a PB in Ballarat off not really that much mileage and sort of a half-assed marathon prep in a way. And then you're going to Chicago where you've thrown in a fair bit more work and potentially run slower, which you have. So now do you actually go, well, I don't need to travel overseas to run my best marathons? And do you also look now at your training and go, well, I ran 219 off not 200K weeks. Like, does that sort of, I guess the fact that you ran so well in Ballarat, does that sort of change your idea of having to chase fast times overseas?
Yeah, 100%. And now they've made the course even faster. Like, I'm calling Ballarat the Valencia of the Southern Hemisphere. And that is the place to go. That is going to be, for anyone around my level.
He had that call today, Croaks. He's an ambassador now.
Yeah. I want to get to that in a second.
He is on the money. He's on the checkbook.
This
is good.
They wanted a 6-time 220 marathoner to add to the books, but no, nothing's progressed there yet. But I think Ballarat's the place to do it because of those factors, Croaks. But and also in regards to the training before Ballarat, I think like I put 14 weeks of solid stuff into Osaka and then had probably 2 or 3 weeks down after Osaka and then topped up with another 5 weeks. So if you look at that body of work, not as what did you do the 8 weeks before Osaka? What did you do before Ballarat? What did you do for the 20 weeks before Ballarat? You go, shit, that's a mountain of work there. So, and that's what I think, I might not have got the 218 I wanted from the Chicago prep, but that prep's still in the legs and the body for whatever I do next year. So, but get there, boys. But I still think we've got to experience marathons as well. We're in that really interesting place now where you still want to be competitive and run fast times and maybe even win some marathons around the lower key kind of races. But our time's ticking and it's like, haven't ran Boston between us. We haven't ran New York. Tokyo's. I was Googling comrades yesterday for you, Croaks. It's like, we might be done. And like those fill-in hosts that have been on the last 9 weeks, like that might be Inside Running podcast in the next couple of years. And like, we need to get a bit of life experience in different races, I feel.
Yeah, fair point. Yeah. Hey, with Chicago, 2 questions. One, were there crowds on like all the way for the 42K, or there's some bare patches? And the other question was, because you didn't have personal drinks, how'd you go getting fluids on? Yeah,
crowds pretty much out of the 42K, I'm going to say like heavy for 25 of it, like hurt your ears, kind of like heavy, like just, and the different suburbs was cool as well. Like they felt like they had different energy. First couple of Ks through the city was just like intense. Like I was with the lead females as well. And like Centro was meant to be doing that pace job. I reckon we need to fly him out to Gold Coast, Croaks, and give him a couple of lessons because he was shit ass at pacing. Like worst pacer I've ever seen try to operate a pacing job. And then out the back, probably like 34 to 38K, it was a bit more quiet, a bit more industrial. That was a bit quieter out there, but still, similar to what you're getting around, Anzac Parade for Sydney Marathon kind of thing. So there's still people on course. Just like, they just got so much energy, I feel like, the Americans. Like, and they're so proud of their race, which is something, maybe Gold Coast has it. Like, I feel like the locals maybe get out in the roads at Gold Coast and it's like, that's Gold Coast Marathon morning. I'm not sure if Sydney and Melbourne have that yet or if it's just running fans on the course, but feels like the city just shuts down and they got such a big population that they just embrace the race.
We only have spectators linked to athletes or to competitors, runners. So it's families and friends, but I don't think we have just randoms out there yet. That is Japanese culture and major culture too. Yeah, you only get it in those 2 places. Yeah.
And then the drinks, they had them every 2K. So it was like, because I was a bit concerned about that. They'd have Gatorade and water every 2K. And I nearly think I went to probably 80% of the drink tables. I was just trying to get as much down as possible. Was trying to like chuck it over the head and stuff as well. But I was trying to do you can never do the maths about how much you get down. But I was working out today that at a minimum, when we have drinks at, say, a Gold Coast or a Melbourne, you might have a pop top maybe every 5K, and you might have 6 or 7 of them throughout the race. And if I usually put 200 ml in, so I kind of worked it out at, at least have 150 ml in those pop tops. You're getting well over maybe a litre, 1.2 litres throughout the marathon. Whereas I don't think I would have got anywhere near 1.2 litres in paper cups throughout the race, even with them accessible every 2K. But I'd never felt like I got dehydrated. Like I never felt like I hit a wall or got dizzy or any of that stuff. It was just the legs got heavier, and it wasn't a huge blow. It was just 4 or 5 seconds a K, towards the finish line there. Mm-hmm. I was running in with that Jocelyn Cheptegei moose, and I was really hoping she was going to hit the deck and I could carry her over the line and get some news.com articles written about me. I was like, come on, Jocelyn, if you want to go down, I'm your man. I've watched a guy carry someone. I can do it.
Good play. It is a good play if you want family love, some friends to come out of the woodworks that you haven't seen in ages.
Yeah.
Well, you'll never see Moose pull out at halfway of a marathon now. He'll hobble his way all the way to the finish just in case somebody's falling in front of him.
Picked up, yeah.
100% I will. There's just too much glory to be had up there.
He's just got the head spinning, looking for people to fall over. He only does races where they've got multiple finish lines.
The news on TV?
Yeah. It was everywhere.
Yeah, I just found that out yesterday. I just thought it was a social media thing, but it went on the news.
Yeah, it was everywhere. And they spoke about it on the live stream. But they didn't show any footage. So they would have spoken there, we've got a man here carrying a man over the line, and this is what the marathon's all about, and the crowd's getting uplifted. And I'm like, everyone on the stream's like, it would have been fantastic. They've just shown us the grandstand of some empty seats at the time. This would have been great to watch. So it wasn't until later that day, it's like, shit, that was Moose. He was carrying that guy over. I was telling you that girls at work are bailing me up at the photocopier. They're like, do you know this guy? I'm like, I know that guy.
They saw the pics.
Yeah.
They saw the pics. They want numbers.
Yeah. I'm like, buy shoes off him, please. Anyway, let's recap some weeks, boys, because I want to hear how you two boys pulled up after Melbourne. So, Krogs, you want to go first? You would have been a bit hungover Monday morning, because weren't you on the beers with Zaka, Ben Parks? I heard you and him are at the pub. Sarah, his partner.
Yep.
Ben said you were pretty loose, actually.
I'd had a few by the time Ben rocked up, yeah, but hope I didn't embarrass myself too much. No, I actually didn't have a hangover at all. I don't know, it must have been whatever they put in those ciders. It was hangover free. It was pretty, I was surprised. We drove home. But my Achilles was really bad. So once it cooled down, I pretty much couldn't walk. Or Monday, I went to work Tuesday, and I was still hobbling around. It was more I was hobbling because I could, if I basically just landed on my heel and didn't toe off, I could basically walk around or hobble around pain-free. But as soon as I went to toe off, that's when the Achilles was angry. So so then I was starting to do some night wraps with Voltaren gel and stuff like that. By Wednesday or Thursday, it got to the point where I could walk pretty well pain-free, maybe just some awareness. And then over the weekend, I really didn't notice it all walking. Maybe if I sort of jogged around the place, I could just feel it a little bit, like a 1 out of 10. But look, the closest I got to running last week was going down to Lily's first day of Little Athletics. So I'd never been to Little Athletics before, because I never did it when I was a kid, and that was Lily's first time. So that was as much running as I did, and that was I didn't even run. It was basically just raking a few sand pits and marking a few vortex throws.
Tell them who you were when you got there?
No.
They knew?
They knew.
No one knows.
Surely they would know.
You won Canberra Times Fun Run in 1997.
Yeah, it's different Little A's though, Moose. They don't know about that. They're into all the events.
What did you think of it? Because we've been to a few as sponsors, selling waffles and stuff. My thing is that there is a lot of downtime in between the kids actually being able to do something there.
Yeah, there is. And look, I don't think last weekend's probably a true reflection, because it was the first week of the season. So it's probably going to be a little bit more unorganised, and things are going to take a lot longer because you've got new families there that don't understand how everything's running. But Lily did 4 events. That was the 70 meters, the 100, long jump, and javelin, which was just throwing a vortex. And that was probably, I'd say by the time they started, probably an hour and a half worth.
Oh,
So
how many goes at it? One go of each?
No, so they got three with the throws, 3 with the jumps, and just raced the 70 and the 100 once. But, she's there with some of her friends, so that's okay because in the downtime she's just hanging out with her friends.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a little bit too long for me, but I think it'll be a bit more streamlined the more weeks that sort of they go. So, so that was my week. I didn't run at all. I did 25 minutes this afternoon, and look, it wasn't 100%, but it hasn't flared up since the run, and it was probably only a 1 or 2 out of 10. Like, it's more you'd probably just know you're favouring it a little bit, but I'm hoping that I can continue to run while it still improves rather than having to just completely stop. But I won't be doing much over the next few weeks. I'll just be sort of jogging around and won't be rushing back into sessions.
I'm going to ask you this question, but I don't like people talking about it too soon after a race. But have you got something on your radar?
Not necessarily like individual races. I've got a bit of a plan over summer, so I'm definitely going to just dial back the midweek long runs and the long runs over summer. So 70 minutes Wednesdays, probably like 90 minutes to an hour 45 on the Sundays, and just do a little bit more of that sort of 5 and 10K type sort of training. Maybe throw in a few doubles because I'm not running quite as long on Sundays and Wednesdays. I might, and because obviously over summer I'll be on school holidays, like I might get out for 30 minutes Tuesday morning before the Tuesday afternoon session, and I might get out Friday afternoon after like a Friday morning session, and sort of do probably similar stuff to what I was doing end of 2020 when I sort of wanted to break 15 minutes for 5K, where so volume was probably like 120K a week, but there weren't big long runs, there weren't big midweek long runs. Sessions were sort of in that 20 to 25 minute lengths. Bit of quicker stuff without sort of trying to be sensible with it as well.
Yeah, you don't want to do a calf or an Achilles you don't need to be running quicker than 68-second 400s, really, do you?
Not really. But that being said, like my body had been pretty good during this whole marathon block, even with a couple of quicker sessions in there, like going and running those 400s that I was doing in 70 odd seconds. I had no Achilles pain at all. It was just race day that 5K in, I'm like, oh, my Achilles is a bit sore. That's my plan. Maybe jump in a track race, depending, because I've got quite a few athletes this summer that are looking to do track races. So if I'm doing some sessions with those guys, then I may also jump in, may even sign up to a club for the first time in, I reckon I haven't been a member of a club since probably Bendigo.
He's got 7 clubs though, Moose is a member of.
Whoever pays the fees.
So yeah, that's my rough plan. I certainly don't have a marathon locked in. Like Canberra's always sort of that carrot where, it'd be nice to try and win your home marathon. So that would motivate me to sort of keep pushing when I get to 30K, as opposed to just going, I'm running 2:27, who cares? Whereas it's like if I'm running 2:30, but I can win it, I'm going to keep pushing. So that's potentially on the radar.
Yeah, the North-South boys can make a documentary on you. They did that last year, didn't they? That was good quality stuff.
They did. That was their first one, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's where they come on the scene.
Mm. Well,
so that's
the media thing didn't work out in Melbourne.
You should have said you wanted all the media. Should have accepted all those deals.
Well, I should have now, especially when they had footage of me going past Moose at 27K. That would have been great.
Yeah, got to get that guy back in the DMs.
Did you hear Brady on the last week's show? He said, "Come on, mate, jump on." He fucking didn't say anything.
He went straight past you.
I can't believe you denied it.
On the other side of the road, he didn't come anywhere near me.
You must have been in a hell of a lot of pain by that stage if you can't remember. I remember looking up.
He goes, it's a long way home for me, mate, as he sprints past me.
I remember looking up going, holy shit, I've got 16K to go and I'm not feeling good here. I've caught Moose. I'm like, Moose, let's just run this together. And you go, no, mate, you're looking fresh. Keep going. He goes, he said, my hips are gone. I've got to get out of it or something. like and I wasn't sure if that meant I've got to get out of the race or I've just got to get out of this period where my hips are not, working properly. That's what happened on the road, Moose.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I didn't hear that at all. All I heard was you telling me how sore you were as you clipped past me, and I was fucking in the gutter.
But as it turned out, I'm glad you didn't take me up on that offer, because I wouldn't have wanted the 232, but I could have maybe beat you to the person that collapsed and maybe picked them up.
Carried them in.
You were not strong enough to carry that bloke in. He was a monster.
That's true.
He would have fallen over. You would have gone with him. It would have been embarrassing for you. You would have been on like Australia's Funniest Home Videos.
Good throwback there. I still cannot get over. I'm sitting in my hotel room in Chicago, got the stream open. Everyone in the stream comments just like, here for Croaks, here for Croaks, here for Croaks. Like, just all these overseas listeners, like Australians. It was so good. Like, we just got 1,000 running nerds. I'm sure 999 of them are like listeners to our podcast as well. And then when you guys split 5K, I was like, shit. Like, what? I think you guys nearly split 5K quicker than I did in Chicago.
Yeah,
guys,
that was your fuck up, not our fuck up.
I don't know. The evidence would show it was probably more your fuck up than mine in the end. But you guys were not screwing around. For two smart guys, you both made tactical mistakes. And even the fact that you were worried about Moose Croaks, like you let him dictate your pacing.
Yeah.
No, we made some blues. Yeah, I still thinking, I'm actually really happy with that 71 odd half marathon. I mean, if I just started the race and someone said, you're going to run a 71 half marathon today, I would have been like, fuck, I'm going all right.
Yeah. The one thing I would love to have known was what I would have run if I ran 73 through half. Like whether I would have been able to get rolling towards the back end, because I don't think mentally I wouldn't have clocked off, because I probably would have been so comfortable at 30K that I could have then actually gone to work and pushed. But I guess that's the thing with the marathon. You never get to run it two ways, do you? So you're always wondering what could have been if you ran like a minute slower through halfway.
Yeah. And I think so many of the listeners, and me in particular, listening to you guys and even Leanne talking about it, is like, there's none of the two are ever the same. Like, there's a learning opportunity in every single marathon you run. And even for two guys as wise and smart as you, like just 3 or 4 things you pick out and go, okay, needed to make a change there.
Yeah.
Moose, how was your body? How'd you pull up? You were jogging back today, but nothing last week.
As sore as I've ever been.
Yeah, really.
After a marathon, I was ruined. My quads were banged. Like, I always think of the same thing when I feel like this. I feel like someone's grabbed a hammer, just bashed them as if you were tenderizing meat. That's what my quads felt like the next day. And worse on Tuesday, little better Wednesday. Quad soreness gone by Saturday, but I had other soreness. My calves were sore until Sunday, and I had this ankle pain. It's the first time I've had this after a marathon, but my ankles were killing me. I couldn't really plantar flex, so I couldn't really toe off. So I'm walking around like peg-legged for probably 3 days. And I went for a run Friday, did 20 minutes, and my ankles was so sore. So I just stopped, and I didn't run Saturday or Sunday. So I did 5K or something for the week. Really annoyed me because I had 8 days off before the marathon and then just ran a marathon. And now I'm had another 7 days off. And today I ran, and my heart rate was running 4:45s. My heart rate was high. Like, yeah. I had to slow down off 4:45s because that's where my fitness is at now. So a lot of people will tell you, 2 weeks off, you don't lose any fitness, rah, rah, rah. It's bullshit. You lose a lot of fitness in 2 weeks of not doing anything.
It's mechanical too, though, isn't it? And you become less efficient.
I think a lot of it's mechanical. Like even today, I've had a week off, and like my hips and back felt like a rusty gate, like just because I hadn't run for a week. So like I think 2 weeks you definitely start to lose fitness, but I also reckon a lot of it is that sort of biomechanics, mechanical, neuromuscular type sort of training that you lose the feel. I remember when I was working at the AIS chatting to swimmers, because the swimmers are in the pool like twice a day, 6 days a week, and if they miss like 2 sessions, they lose the feel of the water. I think it's similar for runners. It's like, but that losing that feel of running feels like a lack of fitness, but it's more just, you've just lost that motor pattern.
Yeah.
That rhythm.
Yeah, it didn't feel natural. Felt pretty awkward, and I did feel like I got to 30. Don't think I even made 30 minutes, and I was just thinking, it feels like I used to run 16K. Like same feeling when I finish.
So where you at, Moose? Like, and has the stress of the new store opening calmed down a bit?
It's all calmed down. Yeah, I'm got a routine going. Had a few days that suggest the store's going to work, which is good. A lot of the bills have come through already, so I'm not stressed in that regard at all. I just did a Pilates class last night off YouTube. Like just Googled Pilates 30 minutes for runners, and did the reformer class. So that was pretty hard. I got a good workout. So I'm like still open to staying fit, and I want to start running again. And I just know how challenging it will be, because in the start of this year, I thought I was in sub 220 shape for Osaka. Like I honestly thought that, and then we got to now, and I couldn't feel further from 220 shape. And I know it's going to take like an enormous effort to get back into any type of fitness that could get me there. But I think my body can still do it. There were signs during this Melbourne build-up that I could still run consistently, and I could still get enough training in that could get my fitness back there. And I'm only 38. Like it's not crazy old. I know, Croaks, you're in borderline crazy old territory, but I don't think 38 is. So I want to get back there. I'm committed to getting back there. I just got to get this body right and just take it slow and not do stupid shit, especially in the race.
I beat Brady at Albert Park as a 38-year-old.
Oh yeah.
I had a shocker that day, though.
What year was that?
Didn't we run like 30, 50 or 30, 45?
2019.
2019, yeah.
We did that live show with Nike afterwards with Sinead and Jack. Remember?
Right.
We just got the next percent, the green ones just come out.
Yeah.
That was,
That was good. That was good. Relatively
early days, wasn't it, of the podcast? 2 years in.
2 years, yeah.
Yeah.
He doesn't forget, does he, Moose? Another observation, listening to him every week, the amount of times I go, I did this session in 2019 on the 5th of Jan, and I averaged 325s, but now I average 327. So he just gives up on all his fitness because he didn't break this workout splits.
Have you ever beaten Croaks?
In a head-to-head. I don't know. We wouldn't have raced at all, would we, Croaks?
You can claim the Cadbury half where I ran
No. You just jogged it in. You were down there influencing that day. No, he
so
got
Croaks
me.
is 1-0 on you.
No, he got me at Sydney 10 when remember that display photo we were talking about on the monthly? He got me in that race that day, so 2-zip. I think, yeah, he's a hard guy to get any wins against because he never races though.
2-zip, damn.
I reckon maybe a Vic 5K. I reckon Brady as well. One year.
You got me, or I got you.
I got you.
Oh, were you in that race that you come down for?
2015 or 2012.
Yeah, like
2011.
I would have been 14 maybe then.
The one that I beat you, Croaks.
Yeah.
Brady was in the race that day?
I don't know. Mate, I'm not sure.
Yeah, was it like November? Who won it that day? Can you remember? Was it like who was it? Matt Ramsden?
Yeah, Ramsden won that one. And then I
missed that one.
I did another year when Mottram was there.
Yeah. Him and Brenton Rowe off the front?
Yeah, I think so.
I reckon I did it that year.
And Roffy was down there as well.
Jeez, I'm glad I'm back so we can reminisce about all this shit.
Seriously long time.
Yeah. It's 15 years ago.
Mark Blickarves was in it as well.
Yeah. Wallard, Akutu, he would have been in there. Those kind of guys.
What do they call him? The Cobra or something?
Yeah.
No, he's not the Cobra.
Yeah, what did they call him? Anaconda? The Conda? Yeah, I think so. There's 15 Vic AV guys laughing at the moment and 20,000 people not sure what we're talking about.
You know what? That is a cult figure of AV, Wallard.
Akutu.
He was a good fella too, wasn't he?
He ran fast as well. Mitch Brown, those kind of guys. Those Essendon guys were strong.
Yeah.
They used to win premierships. Ryan Geard had a strong team. Steve Kelly, yeah. Matthew Colo? Anyway,
he was
move on.
good.
So Moose, have you got any races penciled in? Like focused? You've got to, because we've got to be organised this day and age too.
No, nothing locked in. I think maybe Osaka opens up elite or sub-elite entries soon, but I'm not I think I've still got an entry from, like, entry standard from Sydney last year.
Yeah.
Like, they go back a couple of years, so I can still get in with that. I will do that.
What was the standard, Moose? Do you remember?
I think it was like 230 or something, 232 maybe.
You said before Melbourne that you were going to do, like, similar to what I've sort of said, like, do a little bit more shorter, speedier stuff. Like, is that still your plan?
I reckon, yeah. I think that'll be good. Even through the marathon build, I think that will be good. I mean, you can transfer now. I think if you looked at it, it would be about 14 weeks from now, maybe. Does that sound about right?
Until Osaka.
Oh, I reckon it'd be more. No, it'd be more than that.
Be more than that.
Yeah, I reckon it'd be close to 20.
It's early Feb, isn't it?
Perfect, then. That's perfect.
Yeah, but you're going to need to do the work before you do the work.
Yeah,
it's going to take you a long time just to get up to 2 hours.
10 weeks. It won't take that long. 10 weeks. It depends how these ankles are, because they're pretty shit right now. I think it's still just trauma from last week. I'm not sure why it happened. I just can't know. I talked to a podiatrist today about it, like a mate, and he said it was probably because you were just running so sort of slowish that you've just changed your gait dramatically.
Just would have got sloppy out there. What'd you wear, Alpha Phi 3?
Alpha 3s. Yeah, can't comment on if they're any good or not.
They worked for Ruth Cheptegei, didn't they?
Yeah.
Well, Moose loved them before the race. He goes, these new, straight out of the box, these Alpha 3s are feeling pretty good.
They felt good for 20K. Then they felt shit.
He didn't get to experience that at Osaka when he had them on either, because he didn't get past 20K. He doesn't know what they're like in the back end.
One of them now.
I don't know about people blaming their shoes for poor races, Moose.
No, well, we're off that, aren't we?
Yeah.
We are off that, Croaks. You're especially off that.
Yeah, I don't like it. It's like you've bloody trained for events. You've trained for this event in particular shoes. You can't then just turn around on race day and then blame the shoes. But anyway, Moose, you got about just under 18 weeks till Osaka.
Okay, 18's not as perfect as 20, but I'll take it. We can spend 10 weeks getting up to scratch, and then we can do 8 weeks of just turning the screws. But I might go back to the old school method. I might go back to just 2.5, 3 hours in the bush, 2 to 3 workouts during the week. What do you reckon?
Want a fartlek, Deeks quarters?
Yeah, we'll do a moose fartlek, maybe not a mono fartlek. Geez, thanks for sticking up for me there.
Did you hear the moose fartlek chat on?
Fuck me.
Why do those two, why you got beef with Tom and Am? I'm defending you every single week on that show. Jesus.
I thought that was rough.
The most hated man in Australian podcasting you are. You got a target on your back with those two.
You know what I'm learning in running?
What's
that people are real sensitive. Like, not a lot of banter gets thrown around running circles. So when it does, it doesn't sort of come off as obvious.
It is different when you have a platform, though, and the banter goes out to an audience, not just that one individual.
It's beautiful, isn't it? And no one can defend themselves, even better. So you can just throw it out and you just don't have to hear about it again, ever.
Yeah, that's it. That's good. You sound positive. Wasn't too sure how positive you boys were going to be. Like, what? Because we've got nothing else to do in our life anyway, do we? I was like, you still got to just keep running. Well, I don't know, do we?
I go to work every single day. I wake up and go to work.
No, like as something that's a purpose. I know work has a purpose in another kind of aspect, but like, you know what I mean? Like
surfing. I want to be a surfer. I'm going to be a pro surfer. Is it too late?
So I was just comparing myself to being a drunk, like just going to the pub every Friday and Saturday, and I'm just like, I tried that for the weekend past, and I'm like, nah, I'm going to start and get running again. Like,
you're
some
you
kind
don't
of goal
have much going on. I know that. We found that out just then.
Here's a question for you, Brady, and I've spoken to a few people about this. I feel like for you, this fast marathon is the last thing you need to tick off. And I feel like if and when you do that, like your running looks completely different. I feel like you're just chasing. Because even like to the point where, like, was it last year or the year before, you're like, boys, doing Valencia, then let's go and run Boston. Like almost as if like Valencia was the day that you're going to go and run your 2:17, 2:18, and then you're going to start doing, more probably fun events, maybe drop the mileage a little bit, not be so like into it.
Yeah.
Is that what will happen? Like if you nail a marathon, you pretty much go back to, I don't know, potentially even canning doubles and 130K a week and just chilling out?
I'd like to think that. Like maybe, I don't know, but then you're still going to have that passion and drive and, you go, oh, well, you run 2:18.50, I want to run 2:18.30. Like maybe you just reset the goalpost kind of thing. But back to the point before, I think we have limited time in our sport when our bodies are healthy and you got opportunities to travel, and we can still get into these races with most of their sub-elite programs. Like I do feel like we're missing a big component of our sport by just doing fast marathons in a way. Because, when you meet people who don't know a lot about running, they often ask you, have you done New York or Boston? And you're like, nah, but I've done like Biwa or Osaka, and they got no fucking idea what those races are. Like, I'd hate to be in the sport for as long as we have and be working in the media and talking to runners and never actually experiencing what it's like to run down Fifth Ave and hearing those noises and actually doing them when you can run, close to your fittest, not just jog around in, 4 hours or whatever with a GoPro.
Buy a few tickets this year. We should just get on the tourist train.
Hey, wasn't your wife meant to be going over and she had to can her trip?
Oh, yeah. We had to.
We probably shouldn't be talking like this. You shouldn't be talking like this.
A year we could get there in a year.
Next year. I was...
Look after ourselves a bit more. Don't take silly risks during the year. We'll get there.
Well, remember, so this is, a bit of a flashback. Remember we were looking at actually doing a New York tour? Like we were chatting with...
we had tour company.
We had... and then that was right before COVID hit.
Yep.
Yeah, that was. We had people like an expression of interest form. We had heaps of names ready to go. The agency was like, "What? You can bring this amount of people?" Like that was going to be a good, fun trip.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe we do that next year, boys. You got to go early, and you got to bring your family as well. That's my new vibe with traveling to races. Everyone's coming from now on.
But then you complain you lose sleep because the kids are. You're basically in this one room and you're not sleeping. Yeah,
but you're not sleeping anyway, Croaks.
Yeah.
That's it. I'll whistle through this week, then we're moving on. Friday, I had my first run for the week. I did 30 minutes at 4:38 pace, just after school. Had that general soreness, but it was not one specific area. So I was just like, that's good when it's not just one area screaming out to you. So good to be, like the air's so much better back in Australia. Just greenery as well, when you're being in those big cities and everything's just concrete. It's just so good to like see trees and grass and the Murray River, all those kind of things. Saturday I did 40 minutes, 4:45, and then your number one employee came up to a Chukamoama Moose, Jimmy Friend, and his partner Alana, and their baby Gus. Beautiful people. You won't meet nicer people in the whole world, will you? Just people will know Jimmy from Jimmy Friends and Friend. On the podcast.
Road to Berlin as well.
Road to Berlin, star of Road to Berlin. I forgot about that.
He's a star on the show, isn't he? We should give him a bit more airtime, I reckon.
Yeah, just great human. So it was good to, we had a couple of beers on maybe the Saturday of, I think. And just, it was good to get to know Jimmy and Alana a bit better. And then Sunday, 60 minutes, 4:39. And then I had Benny Walker's 40th boys. So the music for the start of the show. Which we probably haven't spoken about Benny for years, but Benny Walker gives us permission to use his music at the start and end of the show every week. He's a local artist in Echuca Moama, and he celebrated his 40th birthday yesterday. So it was good to see him, and a few beers, and that gave us 28.7k for the week. Probably the lowest week combined from us ever.
Probably.
I'd say so, yeah. And what are you? Where are you heading now, Brady?
I googled 2 races yesterday, Croaks, Comrades and Point to Pinnacle. Because I'm like, that would be something different, wouldn't they?
You would be no good at Point to Pinnacle. I don't think you'd be good at either, to be honest.
You say that, but like, I'm not that bad on hill. I don't run a lot of them, but I can still get up them.
Isn't Point to Pinnacle in a couple of weeks?
Yeah. So I'm not going to get right for that. But that was like
a Lululemon thing.
No. It was just like an experience race. I was like, why don't I do something that's not just chase a fast marathon? Like go to a race I've never done before.
I got one for you.
What do you got?
Brew Run.
Oh, yeah.
You'll be there for that.
Jimmy was talking about your house. He said it's got like, you could go stay at your place and you wouldn't even see you. It's that big. So
you can stay at my house. You are welcome to. I've got that lined up, actually.
Yeah, I'll come down and do the race if you give me and my family, my new rule about travelling with my family. Give us a bed and I'll be down there. What date is it?
December 27. So you'll be in town. You can see Anglesey in its prime.
Yeah.
Loaded. Go to the pub.
Doesn't the water not work, though, when there's so many people in town at your house?
No.
You got that fixed?
No, I just turned the...
That was moving stuff up.
You know what the problem with that was?
Human error.
Did we get to the bottom of that, did we?
Yeah, I went up to the... I went up to, like, the meter, and I just realised that the tap wasn't open properly.
Oh no.
I had a plumber come over and everything.
You're one of those guys, my TV doesn't work. And then call the electrician.
You know why, though? It's because I went to turn the tap off the other day and I wasn't looking, and I turned that off instead of the actual tap next to it. I turned the mains off. That was a bit shit because we went like a week with no showers.
Yeah, okay. I'll pencil me in for that. That'd be good.
Brew Run.
Hard course, though, isn't it? I'm not good at that stuff. Yeah, Croaks, come down as well. Come stay in Miami a couple of nights on the way down.
Maybe.
Drive down.
Day after Christmas.
That would be it. You can stay here too, Croaks.
Yeah.
Rick Russell.
Do a trip away. That'd be good. Thanks some Patreon supporters, fellas. Who you got, Croaks?
I've got Nicholas Myers from Adelaide. Nicholas has run 1956 at the Largs Bay Park Run, 42.21, which came as part of a 10K time trial, and 142 at this year's Barossa Half Marathon. And based on a few photos I saw on Strava, it looks like he's a Port Adelaide fan. So thanks for your support, Nicholas.
Good on you, Nicholas. Who you got, Moose?
My man is Tom Higham. Now, Tom's from York in the UK. According to Strava bio, has run 1935, slightly faster than Nicholas. 39.50, so a fair bit faster than Nicholas. 87, so much faster than Nicholas, and a 3:10. So Nicholas got him. No, actually, he's just faster than Nicholas all around. Sorry, Nick. I don't know why I did that comparison. I thought you might have had him on one. He's type 1 diabetic and does a bit of cycling too.
Hey, Moose, do you reckon it's Higham or Hyam?
Oh,
Higham. You reckon? Higham? Hyam? Brady? Where are you going?
Not the guy to ask, boys.
Why don't we ask Brady? Yeah, he's like nails him. This is the king. This is Warwick.
Who you got, Brady?
Blake Johnson from Melbourne. He's ran 17.47 at the Albert Park Run, 36.24 at this year's Lakeside 10K, 79 minutes at the Burnley Half Marathon. So he's ticking off all the big Melbourne events, and 2:48 at last year's Melbourne Marathon. He was at our shakeout run, boys, the day before the Chicago Marathon. So he ran 2:50, so just missed his PB at Chicago. He's also a business analyst at Honest Fox, which is a People's First digital ideas company.
What's a People's First digital ideas company?
They put the client first. I don't know, Croaks. Was there any more information there? But wouldn't every business put the client first?
Well, I guess digital ideas, is it like their online platforms and stuff? I don't know.
Digital ideas.
Google Honest Fox and see what you can find out.
A nice, good name for a company, Honest Fox. I like that.
This was in his Strava bio about Chicago on the weekend. Unable to PB on the streets of Chicago. You can have the perfect course, good weather, unbelievable crowd support, be in shape, yet the marathon is still a bitch and so hard to get right. That's why we love it and keep coming back. I enjoyed that summary.
Jeez, he didn't blame the weather there or the travel, did he?
No, the weather wasn't too bad. Like, it was a bit warm, but it went humid.
I listened to your episode today, actually, or yesterday.
It wasn't horrific, but it was just that, yeah, it was just hotter than ideal, I guess. But what really killed us was, remember the year Sinead ran really well at Melbourne, and it was a shocking day?
2018?
Yeah. Like Ruth Cheptegei, like fucking, you can't go complaining, and then Ruth Cheptegei runs 2:09.56.
Yeah,
Like, it hurt you. Patreon people, big stuff happening this week, boys. Road to Valencia. I was talking, the boys added me into a group chat yesterday. It's going to be good, isn't it? Like Jordan Donnelly and Chriso on the same. Has Chriso been sending you any of the stuff they do in English out of Norway for their show?
No. No.
He does actually do a bit of stuff with Jordan occasionally, and they talk about his program and just like running life and stuff, and it's really good. So those two boys together on a weekly show is going to be phenomenal. The amount of stuff they know. He also sent me through, he interviewed Renata Canova last week, and like, fuck, Renata can talk. Like, Chriso doesn't get a word in. Like, these epic stories. So they'll be talking about that. And then I'm thinking, I've got to run this by you boys off air. Probably should have done that first. I reckon we rotate the third host. Like, we know a lot of people do in Valencia, and just do maybe some check-ins throughout the series, because those two boys are going to have no issue talking. One of us is going to host it every week, and then I've got a list of people that I wouldn't mind just calling in for 20 minutes, maybe every second or third week. Some of the people may have filled in the last couple of weeks on the show as well, but I don't want to drop their names yet until I actually confirm it.
Don't mind that idea. You don't want to put someone on there that intimidates those boys, because they are a couple of real, like nerdy types. Sometimes you bring women in with those nerdy types, and they get real nervous and jittery. So just be careful about that.
Okay. Did you know Jordan's wife? She's from Chicago. He got me. I don't know if anyone in the world knows as many different runners in different parts of the world as Jordan Donnelly. I literally got off the plane and some random guy called Sergio was like on my WhatsApp, like, "Hi Brady, my name's Sergio. Jordan gave me your number. If you need anything in Chicago, let me know. I'll pick you up, take you out for dinner." And I'm like, this Sergio. I never actually met him in the end. I was a bit busy, but he has a lot of fingers in a lot of pies.
What about Chriso? Chriso as well is one of the most connected guys in like international athletics, and now you got Jordan as well, and we've got both of them on the one podcast.
Yeah. You know what you should do? You let them pick the guests. Let them get their own guests on.
Yeah.
Just give them a license. Give them the keys to it.
Yeah.
And say, you go out here, you find the people you want to bring on, and that would be epic.
Speaking of Chriso, have either of you messaged him since his 10K yesterday or the day before?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I've been talking to him the last couple of days.
Because I feel like Chriso's been quite up and about recently with and rightly so. He's been running real well. And then I saw the run before his 10K. He was like last run as a 31:07 to 31:25 runner, almost like it was a formality that he was going to break 31 minutes, and then ran 31:25. And I wonder if that's just brought him back to earth a little bit or dented his confidence.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, but he's off to Kenya. You know that. Like, he'll be documenting all this Kenyan training, and he's got...
Is he doing his tour thing?
Yeah.
Takes him over. He doesn't really like that though, right? He has to work.
Yeah, I think it's a bit of an interruption to training, but Jordan's also Christian's coach, so it's going to be a fascinating listen. And they've just got so many stories. They can tell you stuff about On and different brands and drugs, and it's going to be great. I'm thankful it's behind the paywall because they'll get pretty loose, but that should be good. So that's kicking off. I think we're doing the first one tomorrow evening, so expect that on Wednesday, Patreon. I do have the season finale part 2 with M. Massey coming up to hear all about her Chicago as well. It's been a bit of a shit show trying to get everyone on the same time zones, and M was sick the other day.
That was a bit of a fail, that.
What's that?
Not having them together.
Yeah, but it was like you could have them together, and we could have recorded it like Wednesday this week, and I would have been back on this show before actually doing the recap show. And just the longer you go, the harder it gets. But we went for an hour and 40 minutes, just Tom and I. Imagine if I did have him there. Would have been still going. Anyway, running news, Croaks, what do you got? As you're tuning in, you're probably gearing up for a race, but how dialed in is your race nutrition? Precision Fuel and Hydration has you covered with a free online planner to calculate your carb, sodium and fluid needs for peak performance. Their range of fuel and electrolyte products makes it easy to hit your numbers. I swear by their resealable 90-gram gel on all my long runs and recently used it at the Ballarat Marathon. They also fuel top athletes like 4-time Olympian Lisa Waitman, Hayden Hawkes, and a regular guest on the Inside Running podcast, Izzy Bat Doyle. Visit the link in the show notes to personalise your race strategy. Use code INSIDERUN15 for 15% off your first order and support the show. Patrons, use the special code from the Patreon feed in Patreon-only episodes for a further discount of 20% off. Ready to elevate your performance? Click the link now And now let's get back to the show.
Look, there's not a lot this week. We'll kick off maybe with Amsterdam Marathon. So Yaleamzerf Yehualaw, she broke the course record by 28 seconds, running 2:16.52. Haven Halu was second in 2:19.29, and Winfrieda Massetti was third in 2:20.27. In the men's, Tsegaye Getachew, I think he won 2 years ago. He won in 2:05.38. Boki Asefa was second, 2:05.40, and Maru Tafiri was third in 2:05.42.
Yeah,
so,
a woman runs 2:16 and no one even gets excited about it.
Yeah, I know.
And she's a class runner. Like she's almost too good to be at Amsterdam.
Yeah, well, she's I think she's like second fastest half marathoner of all time, 63 something.
Yeah,
she's run. Yep.
She had a really good result at that World Half Marathon Champs. I reckon was it Poland or somewhere like that a couple of years ago.
Yeah, and it was Ayana's course record that she broke.
Yeah, okay. Is Ayana doing New York?
I don't know. Like she really has been super quiet. Hey, like she burst onto the scene at the Rio Olympics, breaking the world record in the 10K. And has she done a whole heap since? Like
a couple of marathons, but it's more like, as you said, like the Amsterdam, not so much the big marathon majors.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. New Delhi half marathon happened. Joshua Cheptegei, he won it 59.46. First time he's won a half marathon. Alex Mateo was second, 59.53. Nicholas Kipkorea was third, 59.59. In the women's, Iyoyo was first in 68.17. Cynthia Limo was second, 68.27. And Turi Mesfin was third in 69.42. From a British point of view, or Scotland, did Elise McCoglin, she run that?
Yeah, she was fourth
okay.
in she just broke 70 minutes.
Yeah.
And Edris was also in the men's. Like he was the one that was, potentially going to, it was him and Cheptegei, but he finished fifth, I think, in 60 high. But it's hard to know about this one because I believe like conditions, it's hot. There's a fair bit of pollution around because I did see something written by McColgan about it was one of the hardest races she's ever done just from a breathing point of view because of the weather and the pollution that she really struggled to breathe. So 59.46 is, probably worth a fair bit more given the conditions.
Big money here too, isn't it? Chriso and Jordo will know more about the kind of money involved with this one, but they always seem to get a good field.
Yeah.
And Moose, you see the shoes? Is that the Alpha Fly 4? Or is it Proto? What are we seeing for Cheptegei?
Vaporfly 4. I don't think he even ran in it though.
That was in the photos the day before when they were standing on the road there.
Yeah, Vapor 4. Comes out next year.
I went to how Lululemon do that clubhouse at Gold Coast? It was a similar thing with Nike at this at Chicago, but it was like way smaller, but they had some product there for I don't know when it's coming out, but you weren't allowed to take photos and stuff. They got some just cool things in the works, Moose. You would have seen it.
Yeah, I have seen
some big stack stuff.
Now I've seen everything. I've seen everything except one.
Okay.
I mean, it's we kind of. I can't really talk about it too much, like models or anything. But shoes are getting softer, bouncier. You've seen it from other brands as well. Now it's sort of Nike's turn to go at it. Well, they were really the first with the Invincible. That was one of the first cushion trainers, or the most back when it was the one, and I loved it. So I think you're going to get some similar vibes to that come out.
Isn't it great when you've run a marathon as well and then you start doing these easy jogs back and you just go to your shoe rotation and you're like, I've got some shoes that can really help me this next couple of weeks here. Just massive stack, put them on my feet.
Speaking of shoes, Brady, did I see you in a pair of Nike for Chicago?
Yeah, Vaporflies. Yeah.
Oh.
Did you hear about my blister issue?
Well, I did, but we were under the assumption that you were going to just patch that up and wear the on shoes, which you've been doing all of your training in.
I know, and I love
Does Jordo know?
Jordo knows and said he would have done the same if he was in the same situation. It was causing me way too much stress. And I was like, I had this blister, which was strange because I did the whole marathon block every like big session that was marathon specific was in that shoe and didn't have any issue until the very last workout I did. And then, I just got this blister, and it was the only shoe that would then rub on the blister, and I was just overthinking it way too much. I was talking to my wife Carly about it 2 nights before, after I'd already asked for your advice. I had So Fit sending me through things about how to patch it up, and then Carly's just like, what have you run all your PBs in? And I'm like, Vaporfly 3. She's like, so you go to the other side of the world? Which was a bit of a hint, I reckon. Like, you go to the other side of the world, leave me in charge of the kids, and you're going to risk it with this shoe. And she's like, go down to the street now and buy a brand new pair. And I was like, I will do that right now.
What are your thoughts on this, Moose? Like, you've been done all of your training in this shoe, and then you swap right at the last minute.
Can I just add, it's not like the Vaporfly is a foreign shoe to me, though. Like,
no.
Yeah, it's not like I went.
He was freaking out, wasn't he? He was having a meltdown in our message.
I was having like little nightmares about it. I'm just like, oh my God, it was causing me. And then I walked to the Nike store, bought the shoe. I just walked in and said, I don't care what color, I just need a USA. And they're like, yeah, cool. And then I just felt this like relief that I just had to stop thinking about that now.
Yeah, you probably made the right call, to be honest, because it would have been on your head, and then we would have seen a Strava post saying this shoe is shit, never buy this shoe.
And that would have been my 18th excuse I would have had for the race as well. The shoe, the weather, no drinks, hadn't slept for 5 days. Would have been an extra one. But yeah, that was my choice there.
Yeah.
What else we got? You got some news about Parker Valby?
Yeah, I wasn't sure whether I would include this or not, but I thought I'd put it in. But Parker Valby has signed with New Balance. And the reason I put it in was because she was on an NIL deal with Nike in the last part of her college career. So I just thought that was interesting, because I would say that most athletes that sign an NIL deal with a brand, when they come out of college, probably sign with that brand. So she'll be coached by Mark Coogan in Boston. So she'll be, Ellie St. Pierre's part of that group as well. So, bit light on this week, running news.
Yeah, well, it's a big story over there in the States. Like, she already qualified for the Olympics, like, as a college athlete, didn't she? She went for the 10K and ran pretty well at that 10K as well.
Yeah. Do you find it odd, though, that she was, like, the fact that she was on a deal with Nike and then she's brushed them for New Balance?
I think money talks, doesn't it?
I just think it's 2 different contracts. Like, I understand that there's brand, like, that's the idea, I think, behind it, is to develop some sentiment with the athlete and to get some engage, like, connection there. But she's obviously just like, it's a new contract, just as if other contracts were expiring, you would go around and try to find the best deal for yourself.
You reckon you reckon New Balance were willing to pay her more than what Nike would pay her? Like,
well, from what I read, it wasn't just about the money.
Yeah,
there was some further factors to it, whether it was like career stuff or whether it was I don't know. I feel like she might end up getting herself some work outside of just running.
Signature shoe, you reckon, Moose? There were some whispers about that.
I mean, she could do some, like, I think what happens is the athletes get used for like, she's obviously a really attractive person, and she could probably get a lot of, like, brand work with modeling and stuff. But if you're using athletes, I don't think you really have to pay them for modeling work. It's just like an extra, it's part of the contract, show up for photo shoots. But maybe she's going to be part of the brand in that regard, and maybe that sort of helps along the contract deal if she's furthering her career in other ways.
And potentially, like the groups that are associated with New Balance as well, like maybe Mark Coogan was a better fit because her training is very different to most athletes that come out of college, in that, if all the reports are right, like, she's done majority of her training on cross trainer.
Yeah, that's
hard
to find a group for that, isn't it?
Whereas, like, you go to Bauman, it's like there's not many athletes at Bauman that are just doing purely cross training. So, maybe Mark Coogan was a better fit in that regard as well.
The landscape's changed as well, hasn't it? Like, Bauman's coaches they've gone, haven't they? Didn't he go to Oregon? Yeah,
he did, but I still think Bauman...
Does he still oversee that, though?
I think it still exists.
Yeah, but it's not what it was 5 or 6 years ago. Like, they seem to have a lot of people exit that program the last few years.
They lost a few.
On have taken a few as well. Like, that seems to be another option that probably wasn't there 4 or 5 years ago.
Some just went off and did their own sort of thing. Like...
Well, Grant Fisher, isn't he? Like, he just went to his old college coach.
Yeah. Well, even something like not that Jess was with Bauman, but she was with a Nike group, and she obviously went out and did her own thing as well.
Yeah, that kind of folded into that group.
Yeah, United. Was it United?
United?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, you've still got, there is, Bauman still definitely exists, but I think there was a little bit of maybe not dissent even, but when the coach moved cities, and I think he expected a few of the athletes to move with him from Portland to Eugene, which makes it difficult.
And then you probably got the Shelby Houlihan thing as well. Maybe some athletes wanted to get out of that.
Some got out of there pretty quick. Some took a bit longer, probably till the contract ended. Yeah.
Listen to question, Croaks. Do you want to do this one? Talked about my train a bit, but we can if you want.
Yeah, we won't spend too much time on it, but the question is, hi guys, I'm a long-time listener and Patreon supporter and have loved following Brady's running journey. Brady's approach of big mileage and long sessions at marathon pace has brought him great success. However, he's having trouble breaking through the 220 barrier on a regular basis. Do you think he could benefit from switching his approach to more regular fast workouts and threshold work at faster than marathon pace in combination with a drop in overall mileage? I would love to hear your thoughts. Cheers, Justin Curran.
Good question, Justin. Made me actually go through my Strava for the last 13 weeks, not including taper week. So, which I found was pretty interesting when you actually sit down and start tallying up how many. I put the runs into like 4 categories. So like marathon specific, I did 6 of those in the 13 weeks. Hilly long runs, which were 32k plus over the Karop Hills, I did 8 of those. Threshold workouts, which I put where the majority of the work was around that 3 kind of 10 pace, maybe just dipping a bit under at times. I did 12 of those, faster than the 3-minute K pace. So like I was doing sessions like, 2 sets of 8 300s or 20 by 400s where I was kind of going, 70 seconds. I did 7 of those. And the one thing, so it's kind of, I think maybe when you look at my Strava, there might be threshold workouts that come out as 50 minutes or an hour, and on my Strava they come out and I average 321 or 323s, and it might look like a marathon specific workout, but it's actually just I've done a shitload of pace at 310s plus the jogging recovery. So the one thing, if I could go back and change though, was workouts at the end of long runs. 0. Didn't do one of them. And I'm like, that's the one stone I don't think I touched in this build up. But happy to hear your thoughts, boys.
Well, do you feel like the workouts that you were doing during this block were affected by the mileage you were running?
No, because every time I did a workout and set myself we can talk about the marathon specific ones if it's, 30k at 323 to 325 pace or whatever, that 95% of say 218 pace. I did them all. There wasn't a workout that I said, I struggled or couldn't hit that today because I was way too heavy. And if anything, like Burnley half, I probably, I thought that was marathon effort that day, pretty close to 69 flat, and it was a marathon effort when I got to Chicago. So if anything, I probably did them too quick, or maybe they were easier than, yeah.
Yeah, this question kind of takes the side of you not breaking 220 as a poor result, and that you should probably work on, you might want to change your training because it's not working. But I'm not sure that's the case we're at here. So the question is, you drop back to 150k a week, and you have sessions that are maybe a little fresher, so you run them quicker, you do more VO2 max work, you back off the long specific stuff like the long intervals or the 90% long runs, that kind of thing. Do we think that you would run faster if you did that type of training, or do you think 200k of jogging? Oh, not of jogging, 200k of total volume with specific stuff is better for you specifically.
Did you hear my thing on the recap about the whole 200k a week thing?
Yeah, I did. You did it twice. You only ran twice.
I did 2 weeks of 200k out of...
Yeah, but you did a lot higher though.
Averaged 174 for the 13-week block. So yeah.
Including the taper and the race week?
Not including the taper and race week.
take that out, what do you get?
No, it was still 174. So I didn't include the taper. So pretty much from after Brad and I paced Gold Coast, I had 13 solid weeks before I tapered down.
Yeah.
So it's
That's my question to you now. I'm basically asking what he's asking you.
I don't know, because I do think I have a thing in my head about I need to do high mileage to feel like I'm fit, and I have this weird thing where I'm not naturally talented, so I need to do more work.
That's crap. I also think I think 200's too much for you. Just based on you're a busy guy. You've got I look at other people that run 200 kilometers a week, and they're probably close to being full-time athletes. And so
there wouldn't be many people in Australia doing that touch a 200k week.
And although you say that you rock up to all of these sessions fresh, I think you would get the same result off 160k weeks, because you've got to factor in all that other stress you have in your life. And you say it's probably not impacting it, but 200k a week while working, plus looking after a couple of kids, that's got to be worth a pro athlete running 220, 230. I think you could probably get the same result in your marathon off 160k weeks.
So not necessarily doing the workout faster, just doing them fresher.
I think, yeah.
You still get them done, but maybe instead of 8 out of 10 perceived effort, it's 7 out of 10 perceived effort. Yeah, I do think I'll get someone to write me a program, because I get frustrated with, as you can probably tell, that I go through 13 weeks of training to try and justify that I actually did do double the amount of threshold work than marathon specific, because I think we have this, training is this perfect, or we try to have this perfect training block that includes speed and hills and long runs and marathon specific and VO2 and all this kind of stuff. And it's just, if it was that simple that there was a standard program to follow, every single person in the world would do it, and no one would have everyone would just dominate the marathon. So and I feel like I kind of get it 85% right, and I get onto start lines, injury free, and kind of can string the training together. But then I feel like the criticism just comes on that 10%, and that's where all the attention goes. It's he doesn't run enough hills, or now he doesn't do this, and you're just some people are hard judges out there that just focus on maybe that thing I'm missing and not what I'm actually getting right. And it's so hard to get these things right as it is. But that's where I'm just going to give someone else it and just say, fuck, I just don't want to think about it anymore.
I think you're a smarter trainer now than you used to be. If you go back to our 2017, 2018 days, you were treating some of those big marathon sessions as race day. You had people
see it in your Strava comments, Croaks. No one ever comments on my Strava anymore because nothing looks sexy.
You had people on the bike pacing you.
Three people on the bikes. Benny Walker used to get out on the bike.
It was race day, whereas I feel like now you've dialed back in terms of how hard your sessions are. But I feel like you've gone so far now the way of I just need to run so many Ks a week that you're out there just almost chasing those Ks. And some of those runs where you're, I don't know, going close, high 450s where it's dead flat where you live. I'm just I don't know, I don't know whether it's actually, I don't know whether it's actually giving you much.
Yeah, if you've already done an hour 45 that morning or something like that, cut a bit of that trim maybe. Yeah, it's a good question. It's and you could say it about everyone's training program, I reckon. I looked at Reece Edwards and Dave Ridley run in on Sunday, and I'm those poor guys. I feel like they focus and probably deserved more than. They put a lot of work in Ks that kind of stuff.
Certainly not ripping your shreds, Brady. As I said last week, I'm actually really proud of your run. The fact that you're so consistent.
I loved hearing that, Moose. He was proud of me.
Yeah. But I just think you don't need 200k weeks. I think you've got enough in the bank there that just freshen up a bit more.
Hey, Moose on the loose. You got anything, Moose? Because I've got a couple since I've been away.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to these because I've exhausted my list. What did I make? I've been making lists on here. Let me just see what I got first.
See what
I can push mine back if we have to.
So much for this quick show, hey?
Yeah, there was literally nothing on this agenda. We did some good reminiscing though. I enjoyed the reminiscing tonight.
I'm good. You go.
Oh, so I'm sitting down in Chicago, super excited to put on the live stream of Melbourne Marathon. Said before, there's about 1,000 people tuning in, giving up their Sunday morning or their Saturday afternoon, wherever in the world they're watching. and this is your like diehard fans, like I wanted to see a few people I knew in action. But what stood out to me was like the lack of coverage for the women. It was, and yes, I wanted to see a lot of Jen Gregson because I knew that you two boys would be really, really close to her. But the amount of airtime that she got on the stream compared to Jack, Ryan Gregson and Reese Edwards when they were in a lead pack, and then Jack throughout the race, was a complete, like, significant amount, like, difference. Like, she wouldn't have had a quarter of airtime as what those boys had. And then the half marathon was probably even worse. And I'm concerned because this is our, like, stars. Jen Gregson, super recognisable in Australian distance running. Jess Stenson, Leanne Pompiani, Izzy Bat-Doyle. Like, could have been probably one of the most epic road races we've ever seen on Australian soil. Saw them like 600 metres coming into the finish line after we would have seen Andy Buchanan running for like 5K of his half marathon. And I'm just like, I know the standard excuse is it's so hard to get a video camera on the lead women, but I can guarantee you that you boys would have had people on the bikes following you the whole course, handing you pop tops. And if people can do that, they can get a video camera on the lead women. It's terrible. We've got to be better than that.
There is no reason there couldn't be a camera there because there was at certain times.
Yeah, but so they just must never feed that into the footage.
No, they get that little bit and then they're back up to the front pack, I think. I
honestly reckon they went to Jen 2 or 3 times. They had the helicopter for a while, like that was hovering over, but you couldn't, like people were getting confused in the comments, Croaks, because there was another guy in a mulligan singlet. You couldn't really make out. They're like, that's Croaks. I'm like, that's not Croaks. He doesn't have that much hair on top. Like that other guy had like really dark black hair. You know what I'm talking about?
It was Alex. He ran 226.
Yeah.
Very good.
So yeah, people.
My hair's dark.
My point was that you couldn't even they were trying with the helicopter to get some kind of footage, but you couldn't really see what was going on because the helicopter's so far in the middle of the the sky up there. I just think we've got to be better when we got I watch a lot of like sport and it's like these are our superstars. We need to actually show them on the footage as much as possible.
Brady, what about when I looked at Instagram afterwards? Like I got back to my phone and I'm looking through. I hadn't seen anyone yet, and I looked and I saw Izzy Bat-Doyle won the half, and I'm like, oh yeah, just as I predicted, Izzy won. And then I spoke to.
Did you zoom in on the picture?
No, I just looked at it and then kept going, and then I spoke to Izzy, I think afterwards. I said, oh, good job. Again, she goes, oh, no, I came third. But PB, though, I'm like, what's going on here? How do you get that wrong?
Yeah, so the Instagram story was congratulating Izzy Bat-Doyle for winning the half marathon as Leanne Pompiani is pictured crossing like the tapes, breaking the tape. And you're just like, so that's number 2. You're just like, let's get that better. And then they did the airbrushing thing. Did you guys see this story? So they come out and apologised for airbrushing the logos off Leanne, and they said like it wasn't a Nike thing. I don't know how that can like Nike were like this wasn't us kind of thing. Like it was the so whoever's in charge of their social media live stream, it was just a bit off. I felt like it was, and even like the commentary, like. He had Trent Hill, who I don't know anything about Trent Hill, but I assume he does a lot of kind of that commentary events kind of thing. I'm not sure if he's ever ran a marathon before. He was trying to, I guess, move the conversation around. You had Mitch Dyer, who our listeners be familiar with. Mitch has got great energy. Not sure if he's had much experience in the marathoning, the marathoning world before. And I'm not saying you have to have done 15 marathons to be on a commentary team, but then I was confused because the third co-host, which I assume is usually like the special comments person, was Nana Owusu, who I wasn't familiar. I'd seen Nana's name around before, but I had to like Wikipedia her, and she's an Australian athlete who competed in the women's 4x100 metre relay event at the 2019 World Championships. I've ripped that straight from her Wikipedia page. So I'm just like confused. I'm like, give us Mona, give us Deke, throw a shitload of money at Sinead. Like, let's get someone who's got some history. Benita Willis. Like, we have people here in this country who could do a brilliant job. And Nana was great. She was asking Mitch questions about marathoning and, the hitting the wall. And you could tell she was really trying. I just felt like they missed an opportunity to have someone And, you know, to pay someone some good money to, maybe the crowd's not big enough. Like, as I said, there was 1,000 people watching it. And I was telling you boys off air, the ads they were running, like during the race, they were just like, for the first half an hour, you saw stuff all running. And at one stage, they threw to an ad for, I don't know if it was Sri Lankan Airlines or Singapore Airlines, which probably shows the efficiency of the ad.
Sri Lankan.
Was it Sri Lankan? Yeah, was that one sponsored? Yeah. So they were really trying to please the sponsors, like throwing to a guy from Nike to talk, Sri Lankan Airlines, the mayor of Melbourne, and this is all going away from the race footage. But they showed the evacuation procedure of if you're on one of the flights. So there was just a video they literally play on the tarmac about there's your nearest exit. This is how you brace if you want to actually, if we're in an emergency, don't wear high heels on the inflatable slide because it's going to break the slide. Mask will drop from the ceiling. And you're just I don't know who does the production of that live stream or was in charge of the social media for the day, but I just felt like as fans of the sport that are living in this world where our attention is so limited and we've got 25 apps on our... I was tempted to go watch Ned Brockman run 7-minute Ks around the track. It was, you've got us, let's give us better quality than that, please, in future. It was a shit show. That's
from you.
That's me, boys. That's me. Could you tell I was getting worked up about it? And some of the comments on there were so funny. I wish you could like comments in the YouTubes. Chris was on there lipping off. Had listeners, everyone worried about Croaks. Wanted more airtime for you, Croaks. But it was good.
Do you think the event cares, though, about the live stream? Is it something that they, want to build up, you reckon? Or... Because live streams are relatively new to running events. And, you compare it to Gold Coast and Sydney. So I think both Gold Coast and Sydney this year have been on, free-to-air TV.
Yeah, so Sydney was definitely SBS. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure Gold Coast was as well, because when I got back to the accommodation, the race was still on, and I put it on the TV.
Yeah,
So obviously it's a big thing that they wanted promote their event through this live stream. Whereas, I don't think Melbourne have ever really focused too much on the live stream.
Yeah, and it was.
Yeah,
I think
you make a good live stream and you lose spectators. People to stay at home. It's better to get them there watching, isn't it?
Yeah, but you want people it's a good way to promote your race to overseas and stuff.
You can't watch it. You're in Chicago, and I still think it draws more attention to the race if there's a decent live stream. I mean, you can reach millions of people versus a million people if you get the whole population of Melbourne show up.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure every year they do have a highlights package on free-to-air TV as well. So obviously if they're putting in the effort to do that later on down the track, it could even be this weekend or next weekend. I'm pretty sure in the past there's always been Melbourne Marathon on 9
That's
or
where
whatever.
we see you boys, I reckon. We see maybe some of that footage. So the motorbike was with Jen the whole way?
I don't know about the whole way. I know that when she caught me at 35K, it was there. And I think there was a bit of that on the stream.
That's when I
you saw Jen go past Croaks.
Yeah, that's when I messaged Christian and Toby and said, this is where we find out if Croaks still has the dog in him. If he fights back to get back over Jen, or if he just lets her just fly past him. This is where we really learn a lesson about Croaks here.
Just wanted to run with the 13:01 5K man for a while.
Good.
Got me going.
He's running Bernie 10 on the weekend as well. And I do feel for those guys in the commentary box because they're just getting fed a screen to look at and have to comment on it. They can't say, hey, show us more of this or show us more of that. Hard gig to do. But yeah, I think it needs to lift. If that's their purpose, they want to give us a race footage. I think maybe the purpose at the moment is let's do an add-on for our sponsors and make sure we do interviews of all of them and show you a bit of running while we're going. People who get paid more than me, though, boys, and higher up make those kind of decisions. But as a consumer, I'd love to see people actually running races. What's coming up, Croaks?
Not too much for me. I reckon a week of jogging, hopefully. A few days of teaching. Weather's warming up. It's good. Starting to use the pool a bit.
Oh, yeah. What temp you got it up to?
Oh, it's 28.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, it's pretty nice.
Yeah, ours at 26. Kids are still wanting to get in, though. 26. Bit too fresh for me.
Kidding?
Bit too fresh. Yeah. 20.
Don't come down to the ocean, mate. It's fucking 14 degrees in here.
Is it? Still got boy doctor.
The difference though, Moose, is like you can jump in the ocean when it's quite cold and you can swim around and warm yourself up. Whereas like the pool here is not massive. So you're pretty much just like standing in the pool.
You ain't warming yourself up when it's 14 degrees.
You wear
You know what I
wetsuits
mean?
and
Though you
stuff
can
though,
move.
don't you?
You can move around. Like
I don't know what you're talking about. What are you going to do? What do you mean move around?
Do
Well, I'm
some
just
body
sit-
surfing
Like
and stuff.
do aerobics.
I don't know. I've always been able to just warm myself up if I'm cold in the ocean, whereas I can't really do it in a cold pool because there's nowhere to really swim around. It's not that big.
I went talking about
I
water
don't know about
aerobics,
this
Moose.
theory of yours.
I went to swimming lessons with the kids this morning, Monday. So this time last Monday, I'm sitting in Chicago, like just really enjoying a bit of culture. Walking, just swimming lessons in the heated pool today. There's 30, 80 plus year olds doing water aerobics. They've got pink blaring out of one of these like speakers, and I'm just like, a lot can happen in a week, can't it? You go from Chicago, Illinois to a Echuca indoor swimming pool, watching a water aerobics. Life hits you hard sometimes. Birdie 10's coming up. Brian Fay's making his debut over 10K. He'll be someone to watch there. That male from Leanne was right.
Isaac Haynes there.
Yeah, I know. I like that name as well. Leanne Pompiani, Caitlin Adams headlining the women's. Couple of local Tassie boys. Your mate Nick Earl still getting around, Moose. He was on the elite athlete.
Got another name
bias.
attacked on.
He got married. Yeah, got married.
What happens when you get married? You just add names to yourself.
Is that a UK thing where the man, like, she's taken his name and he's taken her name as well?
I never heard of that before.
Okay. I don't think Nick Earl invented it, but
I
Nick,
thought
can
you
you write
only
in?
did that if you had two dads.
Oh,
You
yeah.
like have two surnames, like with a hyphen.
Okay. Another thing that's coming up, we've got our Modex, an Inside Running podcast competition on our Instagram feed at the moment. This finishes Friday AM, so check the post on our feed and enter for your chance to win a prize valued at $1,500. Includes a massage gun, boys, and the Modex subscriptions. That's a pretty good prize. Wasn't there some big NRL guy who liked it the other day, Crooks?
Yeah, James Tedesco. He liked it and shared it on his own Instagram story. So he must.
Is he sponsored by Modex?
I'm guessing he is. So
No, he's just a big fan. Just
big
wants
fan
a free
of
kit.
Yeah.
Just wants to win a massage gun.
Free Modex.
he's captain the Aussie rugby league team.
Okay, we'll take that. That's
Rugby
good.
league.
Yeah.
They got an Australian rugby league team.
Oh, come on, Moose. Of course they do. The Kangaroos.
I thought that only the Wallabies played for us, like we're Australia's rugby team.
Yeah, no, we're a bit more successful than the Wallabies, the Kangaroos.
Kangaroos. Sounds like a reserves grade Wallabies side.
We're
Is
done.
that how they
boys.
look at it?
Think it's
Is that
time to
what
move
league's
on.
like? I don't know much about rugby, obviously. But I always thought that was like for the guys that couldn't play for the Wallabies.
Nah. I think the rugby league players are definitely more high profile than the rugby union players in
Oh,
this
right.
country. Yeah.
Maybe I'm just getting it back to front then.
Yeah, definitely getting it back to front. Yeah, if being in the northern states, the rugby league players have way more profile than the rugby union players.
Sum it up for me in like 30 seconds. I'll time you. What's the difference between the two? I'm
What, in
timing
terms of the games or?
you. Yeah, rugby. What's the difference?
Well, I reckon rugby, I don't understand half the rules. So that
What
makes
do you
it.
mean rugby? They're both rugby.
No, one's rugby union, one's rugby league.
So which rules don't you understand?
So the rugby union rules are really like hard to learn, whereas the rugby league, it's like you get 6 tackles, and basically you have to get rid of the ball on the last. Once you've had your 6 tackles, you got to get rid of the ball. Whereas with the rugby union, that's the one where they sort of like look like they pile on top of each other, and you can just basically hold onto the ball as long as you want. But there's all these really complicated rules, whereas the
That's
rugby
30 seconds. You didn't get it. You didn't.
Anyway.
I don't know what you're talking about still.
Can cut
Confuse
that,
me as
Brady.
well. Cut that, Zaka. All right, we're done, boys. It's good to be back. See us next week. Patreon supporters, what do we got? Tomorrow, maybe Wednesday morning. Chriso, Jordo. That'd be good. Can't wait to listen to that. And Massey coming up as well over there. See you, boys. Do it all again next week.
See ya. Welcome back, boss.
See ya. Thanks for tuning in. Ready to take your race performance to the next level? We've already spoken about Precision Fuel and Hydration's online planner. Well, if you prefer talking to a human, you can also book a free consultation call to get a personalised strategy. We all love their products, and if you use the link in the show notes and the code INSIDERUN15, you can benefit from 15% off your first order and start to fall in love with their products too.